though. I mean, they were so busy talking about gas stations
Listen,
and
don't
fake girlfriends.
don't defend their actions, all right? They need to be named and shamed.
Yeah, I actually quite like.
God.
I think Quincy Crew have a really solid draft this time around, and it feels like maybe TSM are the ones on a bit of a timer. I think that they have really good wave clear in the form of Coddle, right, to hold out for the Medusa farming. They have the Storm Coddle combo, they have the Pango Coddle combo, and more importantly, the only thing that they have to deal with this Pango's early skirmishing is going to be the Primal Roar, right? And ideally, when you Aurora Pangolier, you have something like a TA that just kills it, gets it out of the way for you in the fight, but Razor isn't exactly going to kill the Pango if he's rolling Thundered when he gets roared. So you have to make use of this Hawk Vision on the side of TSM, and you got to go on them first. But, I mean, in that case, look, they've got a Beastmaster, they've got an Io, they've got a Razor. They may very well just end the game early on or just take control of most of the map and play it out. Is there some all-chatting going on?
I don't know what's going on here. Apparently, we're just double-checking that everybody has the right hero, which they do. Got the right picks here. And, all right, we're good to go. An early smoke up from TSM FTX will block out the easy camp. Keep that away from the Storm Spirit if possible.
I like what you were saying in the green room there, Cap, about how this is going to be a test of resilience for Quincy Crew, because maybe they did not have the results that they wanted out of the season. And then they just play the first game in probably the most important series that they've had to play so far, and they just put themselves in a really weird situation draft-wise. Maybe they're feeling a little bit lacking confidence. I hope that they can bounce back, though, because I think their first 20 minutes in that game one looked really solid.
They were moving really well. It's just it felt like they were outdrafted. So game two, would you say they gave themselves a much better chance? I mean, at very least, the dynamic is very different here, right? Where Quincy Crew do have eventually the better late game.
I mean, they've got Quinn on his signature Storm, they've got Kezu on his Pango, and they've got the Coddle to just make use of all of these heroes. And I mean, on paper, I really like Quincy Crew's draft a lot more than I like TSM's, just because TSM's feels more like it's going to be on a timer the later the game goes. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a way in the game. I expect them to have the super strong mid-game dominance just by nature of the Hawk Vision and the objective taking that they can do. And also that Razor BKB timing is going to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how this Razor does one-on-one against Medusa, because it's supposed to be one of the better heroes against Medusa, and it's amped up by an IO as well as a Beastmaster. So it's possible that they keep getting the right situations where they keep on managing to get the link on the Medusa, that this Razor could scale pretty late into the game against the Medusa as long as TSM is, you know, ahead.
For sure. It's a nice Pango game, though. A really nice Pango game.
Oh, yeah.
It can do a lot. And by saying that it's a good Pango game, I mean, if you're playing against these backline type heroes like Io and Sky, and you've got something like a Pango to get on top of them, especially if he gets that early Diffusal Blade that we've been seeing Pangos do when they have a Coddle on their team, and they just throw out those double swashbuckles early on, this hero can do so much damage.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing they really have to stop it was, I think you mentioned it, the Primal Roar, right? But is easy assassination of some squishy backline heroes that could ruin the Razor. Plus, the laning phase, as we're seeing here, every single time he gets linked, he's just going to swashbuckle away, which gives you a little bit more presence. Still not going to be the most fun laning phase in the world, but it'll be better than maybe some other offlaners.
Yeah, it's definitely not the worst. And in these lanes where Coddles may struggle a little bit, like they are right now versus the aggression of an Eye on a Razor, you always have the safety of making stacks in your triangle. And there are definitely heroes on the side of Quincy that can really capitalize on it. You've got the Storm, who would really enjoy those early big camp stacks, and the Medusa, who's just going to sit there anyway and do Ancients.
And it's part of the reason they block that easy camp, right? And they already have a very defensive board on the side of Quincy Crew over their own triangle. Probably to make sure that there isn't any incursion of support blocking out the Ancients and making sure that they can't get those stacks you're talking about.
Yeah, really heads up, but it also will scout out any early rotations to potentially secure water runes.
Yeah, and you already talked about how important that is in some of these Spirit matchups, and this time we've got Ember versus Storm. So both of them are really going to want those refills on the bottle. Milan is going to be forced into a very defensive TP here. Just went back to the tier 1, though.
Yeah, he used the salve, and Kazu's fallen very low, so no salve for him, but he did finish up his bottle and is bringing it out right now, so not the worst.
You should definitely lose 1 intelligence for that South.
Absolutely agree with you. Okay, I didn't really get to finish it, but salves are ruining Dota, and I don't mean salves are ruining Dota because supports aren't having a good time. It just makes the laning stage too easy. It doesn't matter what support hero you pick. If you buy like 5 salves, you'll be fine. Your carry will be fine.
I do agree with that. There is a general problem with regen, too much regen, making the laning phase less skill-based, I would say. There was actually a conversation that SVG was having with, I think, Jenkins a week or two ago.
Also makes hero matchups less important, which sucks. And it also makes it so that unless you're all inning, the carry is pretty much going to be back to full every time.
Well, Milan, he's going to be missing out on some of that regen, and in fact, he's going to be missing out on his health points. Is Tomato, yeah, they got enough. That last whip is going to do it for first blood. So, missed out on a salve, Courier died, and he gives away first blood. Not great in this bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, oh, Quinn?
Oh, Dubu sneaking in and taking away that water rune that Quinn was kind of relying on there. See if he can get the other one, but you can actually see the Skywrath Mage is on the other side of things here and making sure Quinn can't get aggressive on Bryle right now. We'll probably take the water rune away from him. Oh, they're actually going to try and pull him back and maybe kill him here. Moon Meander, last dive for it, but he actually dies, so Quinn does get that refill. Whew.
This is such Quincy gaming to just bring all your heroes to mid at minute 4. You have to get those runes. No, just really well played on both sides for the rotations. Very bold of Moon Meander to attempt that. But we were talking about this a little bit in game 1 too. The easiest way to deal with a Storm early on is just make sure that he does not have access to those early resources.
Yep. And, well, they tried. Moon Meander tried anyway. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and he accidentally gave away a kill. But either way, Saberlight didn't necessarily need the lane presence, as he's doing all right at the Beastmaster. Kazu is suffering a little bit more, but to be honest, I'm not sure if a Coddle really changes how this lane is going to go too much. Kazu's just going to keep on getting chased away every time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because basically he can't walk up to a creep wave without having to swashbuckle away, so it's kind of on the Coddle to maybe try to pull waves back or just try to be disruptive or maybe even try to pull, things like that. But every time Coddle has gone for some kind of creep manipulation type of play, he just gets run down by the IO and the Razor. And Coddle's a really fast hero, but Razor's a good hero at killing those because he's got the percentage move speed slow with his field.
TSM FTX, they had the same kind of logic you were talking about, right? And that's where we saw Skywrath Mage, and they cut a wave, and then Sky actually held the creep wave instead of letting it go into tower behind the tier 2, and they just kind of like doubled up the creep wave, and that gave the Beastmaster the early levels that now his laning phase is going all right. He's got the high level in Boars. Once again, fight for the power runes. Quinn does get there first. A double damage at that. That is surely going to be enough to kill Dubu. A second kill for Quinn, as Quincy crew once again have brought both their supports into the mid lane.
Coddle's also playing behind him right now.
Look at Ponlo, he's trying to stop the TP. Oh, that would have been a pretty sick play if he pulled that off, but Moon Meander doesn't have a core to be able to play with. He shows up and immediately dies to that DD that is still there for Quinn.
Quinn is off to a great start, and he got Chakra Magic twice.
Hell yeah.
Very happy. Also, I just want to take a look at...
I'm sorry, Yawar solo killed the Beastmaster. He must have gotten a sick Mystic Snake in.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
That's not supposed to happen. I mean, I think you're supposed to win that lane, but yeah, maybe we'll get a chance to be able to see a Kazu chased away by Tomato, as he does manage to pull the creep wave back between his tier 1 and tier 2. So just kind of scrambling for whatever scraps of golden experience he can get.
I just want to point out that there are already some fat stacks going on in the Dire Triangle. Milan kind of identified how difficult it was to play the bot lane versus the Io Razor and just opted to secure runes for the Storm and stack up the triangle. And now Quinn is just taking a large stack already. Really happy to do so.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to actually see. There it is. Production, you're so good. Reading my mind. 5 stacks camped by, stacked up by the Keeper of the Light. So we may see that net worth start falling a little bit further in Quincy Crew's favor if they get a chance to clear those.
And speaking of stacks, Medusa just cleaned up a few of her own that Palmo had been making. So really clean support play so far, stacks on both sides and rune securing on both sides. And because you have this durable kind of hero in Medusa, Palmo has been free to make these stacks and roam around without any fear of this Medusa's life being under threat.
Right. 8-minute rune? Nope.
Another one.
You know Quinn, he puts all the importance on these power runes because he knows how much they can sway a mid lane matchup. If you watch any stream of his, you'll know that's a frequent complaint from him.
Quinn is popping off on these power runes. He's gotten a kill the last 2 ones too, and they're DD and an invis and 2 kills. Why not? I also just farmed a really big stack in my triangle. Really happy about that.
Yeah, Quinn's coming back in this game too with some vengeance. As you were talking about, this season has not gone the best for Quincy crew, but they can all turn it around if they manage to come back and win these next 2 games. Once again, Dubu's dead, as Quinn just continues to be relentless in his pressure in the mid lane. Now he looks to be able to take the easy camp stack away from Bryle, takes a decent chunk of it too. He just, everywhere he goes, he's finding more advantages.
Look at his gold right now. He's got 3 null tallies and power treads finished up.
He is damn farmed, only being outdone by the Razor, who, to be fair, has had the freest lane of anybody in this game. So,
second to Medusa. Medusa actually is second to Razor, I would say. Definitely had a great time. He's going for that BKB first, which he of course has to, because he can't sit back and farm or try to do some semi-carry build where he goes Midas or travels.
yeah, he's definitely going to need it if Quinn is having this kind of game where he's popping off already. He's almost level 9 at 9.5 minutes in, so that's...
It's really funny to see Storms walking around with chipped vests, so...
yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Just get what you can.
Is under attack.
Because the game went so well from Storms here, I really fear for Io and Sky's lives, because typically you would expect Sky to be a potent hero in killing Storm early on, because let's say you do chains on him, then you can just follow up with a silence, a mystic flare, whatnot. He's going to be free food, him and Io. I mean, Quinn has not been scared. He's been going on the Io right next to the Storm.
Right.
Due to these nice nightmares coming out of Ponlo, but he's just able to clean them up so fast. The Skywrath Mage is not going to threaten him.
He does have some wand charges, but it's not going to be enough. Overwhelmed by Quincy crew. Quinn, who had a haste rune, may not be able to get far enough away. That pushback of the Keeper of the Light, though, it saves them. They've got to give him some mana as well, just a little bit of zip out. And they only lose the Bane in exchange for getting the Ember Spirit, and Saberlight used his first ultimate of the game. It's got to feel pretty damn good for Quincy crew. The upside, though, top tower does die for TSM.
Dude, that haste rune was so clutch.
Seriously.
Gets the DD, gets an invis, which is just acceptable against the haste rune. No, that was good. I mean, great rotation by the Beastmaster. That could very well have been a kill on Storm, but the Coddle was ready with the Chakra Magic to just get him out of there.
Yeah.
And just really clean plays. We were talking about how Storm has not been afraid to go on whoever he sees. Alec, he's doing it again.
Yep. Goes up to the top lane, runs away from the Centaur to try and get him. Oh, the raindrop saves him for a moment, but surely Quinn's eventually going to get it. Or maybe he has to give up. He's actually getting low on mana. Oh, Ponlo comes in from the other side and snipes it. Quickly takes off the Nightmare, but the pressure on Quinn is gone, and they do get the kill.
Yeah, he misclicked on a creep while he was zipping, so ended up using the overload attack on a creep. But, you know, it gives it to Ponlo. You can have this, Ponlo. It's my thank you to you for being there for every rune.
Do you do that with your supports?
Do I? I am the support.
Oh, okay.
I am
Do your cores do that for you?
No, of course not, Cap. All they do is ask for healing salves. Like 15 minutes in, it's like, where is my salve? Like 15 minutes, bro. Actually, at that point, if you're lucky, you have a shovel and you've dug up a couple already.
Yeah, that always feels good. Because then you could just constantly be salving your cores and they think you're so selfless. But the truth is, that's garbage that I found in the dirt. Bryle is going to get ganked here, but he does click his buttons fast enough. He's got a nice high ground ward there. Ponlo's hook. Okay, you obviously saw me coming. Gets a D ward out of the smoke. Kezu did manage to, like, nobody's been in this bottom lane really, so he is getting some recovery time. Got the tower bounty there, so he's closing in on the Blink Dagger.
I think
Oh.
Storm has been doing so much that Pango has all the time in the world to recover right now, because TSM are not going to be looking to make super aggressive plays unless they feel a very clear cut on the map.
Right.
Because the threat of the Storm is so high at the moment. He already has half a Kaya too. I expect he's going to turn it into a Kaya Sanj just to withstand perhaps the Primal Roar. There's no save item coming out on either of the supports.
Yeah.
Bottle opted to go for a Drum, and I think Vane's going for an Aether Lens, so it could still be a little scary for Quinn before the Sanj, but let's assume that Pango's going to play behind him once he's ready, and he'll just be there to control them
Yeah.
if they do waste the Roar on Storm, basically. We also talked about Pango a lot initially at the start of the game, how good of a Pango game it is outside of the laning phase. They only really have one answer for him, which is the Roar. And we talked about how Storm's popping off. When you're in an issue or a situation where you have to use your big spell on 2 cores, 2 targets, you're in a bad situation, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you have to pick one while the other one screws you over, basically.
Right. Right. So so if
Obviously.
they stun the Storm Spirit, they stop the damage, but then maybe Kazu just comes in with a Rolling Thunder and stops them from killing the Storm, then that's going to feel bad. You stop the Pango roll, but Storm comes in and kills some heroes.
Nice little D-ward by Ponlo. Well, Kazu did it, but Ponlo's career.
BKB complete for the Razor, though. You talked about how that was going to be an early item pickup.
That's definitely something that they could look to play with, especially with this IO overcharge. Razor's going to be all the stronger because he's got that inherent net worth coming out of the overload attack speed, but, or overcharge.
I mean, particularly, if you're going this BKB, either way, you're just not going to be keeping up with the Medusa, right?
Yeah.
So they got to be able to find a way to start closing off some of the map. Maybe they can somehow get a smoke into that triangle area. They're actually going to smoke Saberlight and Moon Meander across here.
Also, Medusa's almost done with her Mantistyle.
Oof.
Probably like 800 gold off or something like that. And she's not going to have the threat of Serum Chains holding her back or the Skyrath Silence. So another problem that TSM are potentially going to have to deal with. I do think that the success of the Storm in this mid lane and in the way that he played the early game really put a kind of a gimp in what TSM wanted to do overall, because Skyrath is playing from behind. Razor's playing with an inherent disadvantage versus the Medusa Stone Gaze.
Yeah.
And Storm is just going to farm that Kai'Sanj so early.
Never refuse good.
I wonder how much of that just comes down to this difference in the drafts just comes down to the drafting order. Because game 1, TSM FTX got second pick, which a lot of teams have talked about how important that is, and they managed to get that last pick that felt really good for them in the Huskar, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the drafting order was because we couldn't see it.
Yeah,
Is it the bug or
unfortunately
whatever?
for this one, yeah.
But I think TSM have a nice draft, right? They just kind of got owned by Storm.
And they'll start getting owned by Kezu as well as Saberlight. Oh, okay, that doesn't quite land, but Milan still finishes off the kill either way. 2-9 with Quincy
Did
crew.
you see that cap?
Yeah?
He chakra magic the Pangolier instead of the Storm.
Oh, that's unforgivable. How dare he?
That's mega tilt right there. Nah, he's
Well,
just
don't
ready
worry,
to
there's-
ban him again. He's
There's
fine.
plenty more where that came from.
Yeah, no, I don't think that TSM have a bad draft at all. I really just think Quinn overperformed.
That's fair enough. That's kind of what Bryle was talking about in the pregame interview. That's it's in the name. This team is about Quinn and him being able to own mid lane matchups and create space. Because at the end of the day, if he can create that space, you are as a very solid carry, and not make sure the game slips through their fingers.
Speaking of EOR, he's finished up in Manta and is already sitting on 900 gold. Gonna build a Skadi next. I mean, Skadi's gonna spell disaster. It's gonna be heal reduction versus the IO extra stats, a way to just make the Razor weaker in the team fights as well, because he's a ranged core, right?
Yep.
It's gonna be harder and harder for TSM. I feel like, yes, they are in a weird position right now, and maybe they're gonna bide their time and wait for the one good fight, but they should be looking to make some kind of move on this next Primal Roar.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they got to make a move soon. He's trying to finish up the helmet of the Overlord. And
in theory, you've got a lot of burst. You can Primal Roar into a Mystic Flare and maybe take out a key target. If it's that Medusa early on, there's no save coming out of the supports like we talked about earlier. So
okay, got the Golem.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
You have the BKB on the Razor. Bryle's got a decent amount of farm. This is a time to start asserting some of your strength. See if they can take down this mid tower for free. If Quincy Crew is going to fight for it all. Doesn't really seem like it, but Kezu is TPing into the mid tier too, so maybe they are going to start a fight.
They've got some extra HP from the Golem too, so maybe they're feeling a little safer, a little tankier, pushing this tower. Damn, this Medusa is brave though. If he's just standing in front of a tower, you know that Quincy are in a good position.
Yeah, that's... I mean, the fact that he's got a Manta, he's got 15 wand charges, he's like getting halfway through that Scotty. Like, I feel like that Scotty is just going to be like the start of the end for TSM FTX. They've got to find an opening soon, but Quincy Crew is just not letting them have one.
I mean, there's always hope for TSM, right? Because they still do have that insane burst coming out, and if they can just isolate maybe one target, the most important one, which is Storm, get him out of the way, they can maybe kite around the Medusa. Razor is building up for that refresher really early on, so he's just going to be looking to run in as much as he can.
Yeah.
But so many conditions need to be met for TSM to take the fight properly at this point.
The sleep, but there's a defensive relocate coming in from TSM FTX. They want to make sure that the Ember Spirit's going to be fine. The Fiend Script is going to be used up. They actually went for Beastmaster at the same time there. That's why there was no follow-up. Dubu getting low, but will just barely make it out. Relocate alive. Bryle, he's going to be chased away. Should be fine as Quinn doesn't have the most mana to be zipping super aggressively like that. So ultimately a 2-for-2 trade, supporting an offlaner on both sides.
Yeah, I do think that that trade was better for Quincy Crew though, because it happened in their jungle, and it was also just the expenditure, do you say that word right, of the roar. You used a really important spell, the spell that was supposed to catch them off guard, while Storm was just happy to get a double kill. Deuce was farming safely too, I mean.
I think the helm of the Overlord creep might have finished off that mid tower, so there's a little bit extra for TSM FTX, but yeah, I totally agree with you in the fact that, I mean, 2-for-2, they use relocate, Dusa is completely undeterred, she's still farming away, but we'll see. Maybe this Refresher, I mean, Refresher Razor is super powerful, and this hero does go late game better than it used to. I'm not feeling so hot when I see this Quincy Crew lead just building up over time.
Yeah, it's very spooky. We talked about how if you roar one target, another one's gonna pop off, and what happened, right? You did get rid of Pango, but Storm is able to go nuts. He had the Coddle behind him too, so you know he has the mana to work with in fights. And of course, you can't forget the threat of the Dusa standing on a high ground situation. I do like that TSM were proactive though, and I also like that they still have the 9-second BKB on Razor. Tomato held it for the entirety of the fight and got out with Io.
Yeah.
So there's always a chance, right? There's always hope.
Absolutely.
We can definitely theorycraft, but it's a very intricate game, and the one fight you're looking for can just show up.
Well, TSM FTX, they find the opening on Ponlo, but you could also say Ponlo's just kind of making sure, he's just standing in these areas, making sure that his cores are still happily farming away. Happy clams. There's the Scotty for the Medusa. So, well, actually, it might be an opportunity. We'll see if Quincy Crew want to get at all aggressive. They want to try and make a play, or if they're just down to passively farm. If they are down to passively farm, they're going to be giving up this tier 2 that is being chipped away by the Beastmaster.
Yeah, I think Quincy are just happy. Not happy, but they have to give it away. They're not really in a position where they can defend it. They don't have any kind of vision to scout out TSM here. Meanwhile, though, Yawar did clean up the Radiant jungle, and it looks like they're looking to reclaim a jungle of their own right now.
Yeah, they're going to push through together. They have a nice ward there farther to the left to Saberlight. Smoke up of Kezu and Ponlo. Is they're going to find the opening, perhaps? Oh, he missed it on Saberlight. That is awkward. He does immediately get Primal Ward. As a result of that, they're going to try and deal with a big old lizard first. They do actually hit the Razor once. Kezu's got to be careful. Oh, tried to chain the stun, but Tomato got off the BKB first. Sadly, though, the Scotty is causing a lot of issues, and he just dies. Dubu, who had already used his relocate, could not save the Razor now. And Quinn, he bounces for more. Controls the Ember Spirit, pushes them back in. Bryle trying to zip away. Quinn's on the other side of things, looks to be able to slow him down. He jumps one more jump to another Remnant. Storm, the last bit of mana, catches him in the end. 4 dead on the side of TSM FTX as Quincy Crew get a very clean fight for themselves.
Nice initiation by Kezu. They had to extend the roar also, but like we talked about, not really any damage to kill him in the roar, so you're roaring a target to stop him in his tracks, while the Medusa just presses Stone Gaze, kills your Razor on a side, and all you lose is your Bane.
Just solid stuff. Well, except for the part where Kezu missed his initiation. But you know, these things happen. Ultimately, they started a good fight. And that Scotty was very bad for Tomato as we go back into the game where Moonmeander was trying to approach close to the pit where they were finishing up Roshan. So they not only get the Aegis for the Storm Spirit, but now they get a free kill on Moonmeander. Now they also have the level 15 talent on Pango, which is really big. If you're going to just be a stunner, you're just going to be rolling in, blinking in, and initiating like this, that 15 talent makes all the difference.
Honestly, Pango has a really simple job this game, or easy job, I would say, in that all you have to do is go in. You don't even, ideally you want to like hit people in your Rolling Thunder, but if you can just tank the roar for your team, you've already opened up the fight to be won, right? Your Medusa is not under threat. Your Storm is building a Lincoln Sphere, so eventually he's not going to be under threat either, but can just go in. The only thing that Storm had to worry about was the silence. He stepped back like 3 paces and went back in. Getting harder and harder. I'm really glad that Quincy crew, though, seemed to not be discouraged by that game one.
Chain stun. Oh, this river entrance is really good for them, but they do not quite get it to relocate over to the side here. They pop the BKB, and it looks like TSM FTX wants to take this fight. Kezu is going to be chased down, perhaps. The Ember Spirit and the Razor both fast. Quinn actually intercepting, turning back around as Yuwara's now joined the fray, and he's going to be able to slow down Brian with the Stone Gaze. Looks like they've also caught with a Fiend's Grip. Where did that happen from? Ponlo catches it from long range, catches the Razor, brings him down, and one by one, TSM FTX are gonna fall. Quinn not giving up just yet. He's got some more mana coming in from the Cuttle. Godlike for Quinn. He has shown up in this game too, and GG is called. Moonmeander says, that's it, tapping out. Well played by Quincy crew. My goodness, as we talked about, this season has not gone well for them, and the start of this most important series for them, game one, they kind of got trounced. They got messed up real bad, but they still came back strong, Effie.
I mean, Quinn was wild that game. That was ridiculous. I think he played that